Also, there is information coming in that a Pakistani flag has now been hoisted on the mobile tower in South Kashmir, and the Pak flag was hoisted on 14th of August. Army Jawan risked his life to take it down, and the Pakistani flag, in fact, it can be seen through dramatic drone footage. Okay, let me in fact toss it back to Gaurav Sawant. Gaurav, take us through the footage that we have obtained perhaps of this Army Jawan taking down the Pakistani flag.
This is the Tral area of South Kashmir. Now what you see in these visuals is a brave Jawan, Suman. He's climbed 50 meters right to the top of this telephone tower, and he's taken down a Pakistani flag. Now, Tral, for the benefit of our viewers, is the area where terrorist Burhan Wani hailed from. It's seen as a terrorist stronghold, but this is where the commanding officer of the Rashtriya Rifles battalion that's deployed here, he said, I will not see a Pakistani flag fluttering high. There is immense risk. There could be terrorist hold up in any of these houses.
Okay.
So there was a risk for this Jawan to go up all this way. He's wearing his bulletproof jacket. He is wearing his patka. He goes up all this way. He brings down the Pakistani flag. He puts up the tricolor and he salutes the tricolor because his commanding officer had said, I do not want to see a Pakistani flag in my area. So grave risk to his personal safety, but he still went up. He put up the national flag. He saluted the national flag and stayed there for some time to make a point. And that is where the Rashtriya Rifles and the police were deployed all over this area to ensure that this Jawan stays safe, and that's the message they were sending out.
Thanks for, of course, taking us through that footage. I'm also joined by retired General G.D. Bakshi, who is on the phone line with us. General Bakshi, you know, the fact that despite all the heavy security arrangements, all the, the state has been under curfew, the valley has been under curfew for more than 38 days now, internet's not working. Despite all these restrictions, if you still have incidents where people try and put out Pakistani flags, what kind of a message does it send out? Okay, looks like we've lost that line with General G.D. Bakshi, but if Shuja ul Haq is still with us from the valley, Shuja, can you take us through, what are the kind of reactions on the ground that you've seen today following the Prime Minister's speech and also Mehbooba Mufti's speech? Is there a perception that the two have been talking in different terms and different tones?
Well, Smita, first of all, it was a very important day. Many had set their eyes on what Mehbooba Mufti locally would say, because as you were pointing out, it will be more than 30 days that the valley is under the grip of an immense crisis. And the focal points, if one can analyze Mehbooba Mufti's speech, have been only on a few things. One, she talked about how youth was being misled. She talked about how youngsters should not go out and be, out there and get killed because the real place for them was in educational institutions. She also mentioned the fact that India and Pakistan should talk to each other, in a sense giving out her party's vision of making Kashmir some sort of a common ground where SAARC activities could happen. She also said, in a sense, blamed Government of India, saying that in past not much has happened to resolve the crisis, also to resolve the problem of Kashmir, because the process that has been set by her father from 2003 had not been really taken to the logical conclusion. So mixed sort of a bouquet of points that
Shuja, we are told that apparently she went on to say that IITs, IIMs are not as what going to heal Kashmir. So unlike the PM who says that the solution to Kashmir problem is development, Mehbooba Mufti clearly pointing to the political angles of the issue.
Absolutely, that's what I was coming to. Smita, she did touch upon the fact that India and Pakistan need to come together and talk, and that's where the resolution lies. She also, like you pointed out, mentioned that all the development perhaps was not the the end solution. There has to be something more, and she tried to figure out the issues like making Kashmir some sort of a focal point when it comes to activity between India and Pakistan. That's something to many was in direct contrast with what the Prime Minister said. Today's Prime Minister's speech was more about, when it comes to Kashmir, more about development or, the issues of concerning the youth, but really not touching the core issue of the problem of the crisis that has been going on in Kashmir for, recently for more than 1 month and in past as well. So if one can, analyze it that way, there are two different point of views, one in center and in the state, from the state government, and interestingly from someone who is the BJP's ally in the state and the government.
Okay, in fact, I'm also joined by defense expert Mr. Arasan Singh here with us on the phone line. Mr. Singh, how do you view the developments in Kashmir Valley? Despite the curfew, despite the security restraint, you still see these incidents of people trying to hoist Pakistani flags. How do you view the sentiments in the valley currently?
No, but look at the larger narrative. The larger narrative is that there are elements within the valley, and which is, which we all know, who are smitten by Pakistan for whatever reasons, a failing state. But there are also people, from all parts of the country, whether it is, Kerala, Maharashtra, Bihar, Bengal, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and J&K. Now, here are people who are securing this entire state of J&K from China and Pakistan.
Mr. Singh, from a point of view of insurgency, militancy, do you think the situation is worsening in the valley at the moment?
No, I don't think so. Not at all. Who has told you this? The Kashmir Valley constitutes only 7% of the total area, and the trouble is a 2 to 3% area. The problem is that people don't understand the geography of Jammu and Kashmir, including POK, which includes Gilgit-Baltistan. So I don't think anywhere on this earth there is a more tranquil place in Jammu and Kashmir, where only there is a problem in 2 to 3% area. So who are these jokers who are saying that there is a problem in Kashmir?
So then how come the state has had to be put under curfew for 38 days if you are saying that there is no problem?
Yeah, the curfew is there. It's clamped in many parts of the country off and on. So what?
No, 38 days of curfew isn't clamped in which part of the country, sir? It wasn't even clamped when the Jats were agitating.
Yeah. When Jats were agitating, that was a call for the local administration to take. All security problems are not alike. But for God's sake, on Independence Day, I will not subscribe to the view that there is a problem in Kashmir. As far as I am concerned, there is absolutely no problem in Kashmir.
Okay, in fact, Gaurav Sawant has a question for you, Mr. Singh. Gaurav, please go ahead.
No. If anti-national elements are there in the ghettos, in Srinagar, they'll be dealt with accordingly. It is
Gaurav, please go ahead with your question.
No, I was answering your question on how come Pakistani flags are coming up in the Tral is not downtown Srinagar. There is massive security presence in some areas. These flags come up in areas where there is no security. There is no patrolling happening in some of these rural areas because you don't want confrontation with the population. So the Chief Minister's office has given clear instructions to security forces to remain indoors. But from their locations, when they see Pakistani flags, they've taken this initiative to bring the flag down. So it's not as if these people have a free run and they can put up flags anywhere and come and go. There is a cat and mouse game that is on, and all of this is happening in some of these rural areas. As Colonel Arasan Singh was pointing out, there is a situation. The security forces have maximum restraint. So they are not patrolling the areas on the instructions of the government. The moment they go out, these stone pelters disappear or these anti-national elements disappear. Otherwise, there'll be an engagement and these people will be either neutralized or they will be hurt either by pellet guns or by real bullets, depending on what they fire. So that is why you see a situation like this. If the
Also
security
remember, in
forces
fact,
have a
there
free
is one
hand, they
CRPF
will
Jawan
react.
who has lost his life, a commandant who has been martyred today, of course, in the encounter that ensued. Shuja ul Haq continues to be with us. Shuja, can you also take us through what are you learning of the reports by and large from the state today? Have there been attempts at stone pelting? Have there been more attempts at trying to hoist the Pakistani flag?
Well, Smita, to be really honest about it, there's been a complete, blackout of the information. There is no internet working. There is no mobile phones working. Only few mobile phones are working. That too, mostly those numbers which are being used by the officials are around Srinagar. So the real-time information from rural areas, villages, hinterland, that is not trickling down. We'll only be able to collate that information perhaps later on and give you the picture. But talking about yesterday, where this particular incident had happened in Tral, yesterday being 14th of August, there was an apprehension that Pakistani flags would be unfurled at various locations. In fact, there was an intelligence report that around 200 iron posts have been erected at various places, particularly for this purpose. And there was also a suspicion that, given the fact that there is this unrest, there could be elements who will en masse hoist Pakistani flags across the valley. In fact, that did also happen at some of the places in South Kashmir, particularly areas like Tral and Pulwama, but definitely not with that magnitude, because yesterday it was a complete clampdown. The curfew was imposed with very, very stringent orders to the security forces not to allow anybody to come out or gather in some sort of a procession. So that being the context to it, and that's where this particular incident took place in Tral on this mobile tower. The footage perhaps has been shot by the army's drones, because the army is the only agency which is operating drones in the valley, particularly in these areas, and one can very clearly see the soldier climbing up, taking down that Pakistani flag and then unfurling the tricolor.
Okay, and Gaurav, what updates do you have as far as the condition of the other CRPF Jawans are concerned? What in fact are the CRPF sources saying about the number? As Shuja was saying that perhaps one terrorist is still holed up, 2 have been killed. Is that what sources are confirming at the moment in terms of 3 terrorists being responsible for this encounter?
So the details that we have at this point of time is 2 terrorists have been neutralized. The building which they were hiding in, that building has been taken down. So 2 terrorists have been neutralized. There's one more terrorist who local eyewitnesses told security forces had run into an adjacent building. That entire area has been cordoned off. Everyone has been asked to stay indoors, is what sources on ground are telling India Today. And now they're combing this entire area. There hasn't been a firefight for some time now. The CRPF commandant was injured because initially when the terrorists opened fire, he was the first responder, and he, the restraint that they are practicing, that they are following, they don't open fire until fired upon. And this is what happened. They were killed. He was killed. Some of the other men are injured. So there are 7 who are injured in a grenade attack come firing. 3 of them are feared critical.
Okay, and Shuja, as far as coming back to today's Independence Day message, now, is there a section, because given the fact that India has now completely raised the ante on Pak atrocities in Balochistan, or the protests that we have seen in Pak occupied Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan, is there a large section that does believe that, at the end of the day, when Pakistan does raise Kashmir's bad causes and talks about sympathizing with Kashmir, that it's essentially trying to score political brownie points?
Well, that's how it has been. That's how it has been. It has come across as there is a clear, support, so to speak, to the unrest in the valley from Pakistan. We are seeing statements coming now from the top ranks of, Pakistani, establishment, and even, people like Sayyid Salahuddin, and at certain points, people like Hafiz Sayyid have also, said a lot of things about the particular unrest that is happening today. But on the ground here in the valley, many are saying that, that is really not the point. The point really is, how much of the outreach has happened politically, when it comes to the center and the state government. How much of the political outreach has happened to those people who are perhaps angry, who are coming out on the streets, pelting stones. What is the kind of, strategy that the governments, both at the center as well as the state, have to engage with them? Because at the end of the day, the curfews, the restrictions, the all these things would not be the final solution. There has to be some way out to reach out to these people, engage them, talk to them, invite them to a talking table. That is something that many are saying that is missing, both from the center as well as the state.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Many thanks for the moment, giving us that update and the picture emerging from the Valley this Independence Day. Gaurav Sawant, Shujaul Haq, as well as Colonel Arisan Singh, who joined us earlier on the show.